everyone, good morning and welcome again to Vietnam. Today is my day 3 here in Vietnam and I'm currently in Hanoi. I had taken a flight last night from Da Nang to Hanoi and now I'm all ready to go on a city tour in Hanoi. So this was something again that I checked online and I found this tour provider who had really great reviews. I'll put the details in the description. So I quickly called him up. It was great because he could converse in English, so it made it even simpler. He sent me the deals that were there. I picked a half-day tour which includes almost all the popular spots here in Hanoi. So now the car is going to come. We are 4 of us, so we picked for the private tour option, which sends a car which is a 7-seater. So if you are in big groups, I think the private groups would work really well for you because you could decide what you really want to explore. And yeah, let's start the day.
Our first stop is St. Joseph's Cathedral, a stunning neo-Gothic church that has stood here since 1886. With its towering spires and intricate details, it feels like a piece of Europe right in the heart of Hanoi.
Well, so we are on our trip and the first spot we actually stopped for a really quick stop at one of the stores to get some banh mi because my friends were hungry. Next, the actual first stop that we've come to is St. Joseph's Cathedral here, and I was just told by the guide that it was in 1800s that this church was built, and there are 3 major churches in Vietnam. There's one here in Hanoi, there's one in Da Nang, and there's one in Ho Chi Minh. In 3 of the major cities of Vietnam is where the churches were built, and this is obviously impacted the overall religion of the place, and now there's about 5 to 6% of people in Vietnam who practice Christianity. So it's a beautiful church. It was made by the French, and I can see that it's been kept really well. The insides are beautiful. Couldn't record anything inside as it wasn't permitted, but yeah, if you are coming over, then this would be one of the spots that you could visit as it has this old world charm to it.
The architecture is inspired by the Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris, making it a must-see for anyone visiting the city. The atmosphere here is calm and peaceful, perfect contrast to the busy streets outside. Although the outside does have a lot of shopping opportunities for the ones interested in it.
Well, that behind me is the water puppet show where it happens. So we were just being suggested by our tour guide that if we are free, we should definitely go and see that, as it gives you more idea about the culture of this place. So let's see, we'll see if we can find time. But right now we are opposite to a lake that we are going to go and see next. So let's see how that turns out to be.
For our next stop, the car was parked outside the church while we walked on to see the next spot, since this was again in an area which is quite close to the church. We are visiting the Hoan Kiem Lake, one of the most famous spots in Hanoi, and right in the center of this lake, we can see the Nop Son Temple, which is perched on a small island accessible by the iconic Red Hook Bridge. Although we didn't go inside, the view from the lake's edge is stunning. The temple is dedicated to General Tran Quoc Pagoda, a hero in Vietnamese history, and the surrounding lake offers a peaceful retreat from the city's bustling pace. It also has a lot of government buildings around this area.
Well, that was the lake, and right in the center is this turtle tower, which we were just told that back in the day the king had built it to thank the gods for helping him in the war against Mongolia. So yeah, it was a beautiful lake. You can walk around. There is the red bridge on the opposite side, and overall you can just spend some time having coffee here. And now we are headed to our next spot, so let's see what's that gonna be.
Well, after taking some nice pictures around the lake area and getting to know more about the history of Vietnam, we were headed to our next stop, which was the Grand Hanoi Opera House. This was a symbol of French colonial architecture in Vietnam. Built in the early 1900s, this building is a masterpiece with its classical European design and intricate details. It's still in use today for various cultural performances, making it not just a piece of history, but a living part of Hanoi's vibrant art scene. Standing here, you can truly feel the mix of old world elegance and the energetic pulse of the city around it.
Well everyone, this was the next spot that we came to. It is called the Opera House, and I was just told about the history here, that it was built back in the day by the French, and the real reason that they built it was they wanted to influence the Vietnamese people to start liking opera songs. But the funny thing was that the Vietnamese people weren't actually allowed to even enter, so it really didn't make sense what was the use of such an opera house. And post that, we were told that there were two kinds of songs that were played here. They were called red and yellow. Yellow was for the people of Vietnam as their skin color, to motivate them to do better and to get their country back. And there was the red color songs, which was the blood of the soldiers, and this was to motivate them to fight back the invaders. And we were just told that until 1975 you weren't really allowed to write or compose love songs, and that the reason for that was that the government didn't want the soldiers to become weak by listening to love songs and start remembering their family. So that's the reason why it wasn't allowed. But now it's all a thing of the past, and there are love songs here too. But yeah, overall this is the opera house, and we were told that the tickets even now is not cheap. There are symphonies that are played, but the tickets are almost 120 to 150 US dollars for a person. So definitely not a cheap ticket, but if you are someone who likes to experience the opera, then this is something you can give it a shot here in Hanoi. Well, we are now here at our next spot, which is one of the oldest pagoda here in Hanoi, and we are just going in to check this out. So let's see how this is going to be. Let me show you the entrance.
Next stop for us is the oldest Buddhist temple in Hanoi, which dates back over 1400 years. We are visiting the Tran Quoc Pagoda. This is located on a small island in West Lake. This pagoda is a serene escape from the city noise. The tall, elegant tower, surrounded by lush greenery and peaceful water, gives this place a spiritual and calming energy. The rich history of the temple is fascinating, and walking around, you get a sense of the deep connection between Buddhism and Vietnamese culture. Also, the Chinese influence on the Vietnamese culture and lifestyle.
Well, here we are at the oldest pagoda, and there was a lot of things that our tour guide actually told us about. The very first thing, which was super interesting, was that the Vietnamese people believed the numbers 3, 6 and 8 to be super lucky, and that's the reason why if you'll see at the entrance of the pagoda as well, there are 3 doors, and he just explained to us that the 3 doors were so because they are also very superstitious. So one of the doors used to be for the common people to enter, one would be reserved for the royalty or the monks, and the middle door, which is a really big one and it's always closed, that was actually kept for the spirits. So every year there is a certain time where these gates are kept open, and they say that the gates of hells are also opened, and the spirits are free to roam around, go back to their families, and the ones who don't can actually come over to the pagoda here and pray to the Buddha for their next life. So this is what was told to us. There's obviously a very beautiful setup right in the center with 6 Buddhas in every row, and he just explained to us that there are 11 such rows, so 66 Buddhas in total in the center. And if you were to see it from a distance, you would see that entire setup to look like a lotus. So yeah, overall it's a very beautiful pagoda here, and there is so much of ancient Vietnam which you can see here, because they have areas where their gods have been placed, and you can see how the people here worship and basically try to understand how the local culture here is. So it's all in all a very beautiful place to be at. We were also told that this is a place which is frequented even by the locals a lot, because obviously you come over, you pray to your ancestors, but it does have a very heavy Chinese influence here, and we were just told that that's because this place was again set up by the Chinese, so which is why there's a lot of influence in Vietnam, and he just mentioned that almost like 95% similarities is what you would also see with the Chinese people here in Vietnam. So yeah, this is the spot that we came to, and if you are here in Hanoi, I'm sure that this would also be one of the spots that they take you on a tour. But yeah, definitely a great place to be at if you are interested in understanding the history and culture of a place.
So after visiting the oldest temple, we were headed to our next spot, and this is a very, very important spot for everyone in Vietnam and also for the tourists visiting Vietnam. This is the visit to the Ho Chi Minh Mausoleum, where the beloved leader Ho Chi Minh's body is preserved. This massive structure is a place of great reverence for the Vietnamese people. The grand architecture reflects the respect and admiration for Ho Chi Minh, who led Vietnam's struggle for independence. As you walk through the grounds, there's a powerful sense of history here. It's a humbling experience, and whether or not you visit inside, the mausoleum is a must-see when you're in Hanoi.
Well, we're finally here at our next spot, which is probably one of the most important spots for the Vietnamese people. It is the Ho Chi Minh Mausoleum, and this is where the body of, probably the one that everyone here respects the most has been kept. And we just got to know from the guide that that wasn't actually what Ho Chi Minh really wanted. He wanted his ashes to be around the entire Vietnam, spread out. But the Prime Minister finally decided that they should rather place him here, because this would give an opportunity for the future generations to come and also get a chance to visit him and probably take in all that motivation from him and all the good thoughts and qualities that probably every Vietnamese person wants to imbibe in themselves and their future generations. Also, an interesting fact, if you see in front of me, is one of the red and white guards who is probably discussing something with someone over there. And I was just told by the guide a very interesting fact that it's not so easy to become a guard here. So if you wanted to become a guard, they would actually do verification and a check of your entire family history, and 3 generations of your family should have been a part of the defense or the army here, and it's only then that you are given an opportunity to become a guard here. Okay, so while we are here, just a quick note to all of you that the mausoleum is actually open only in the morning. That's what we were just told, and now it's almost going to be like 5 in the evening. So if you do want to visit the mausoleum from the inside, you need to come here in the morning, but right now it's just us going around this place. It's a very nice and open space, and you can probably just take pictures around, you can walk around. Also, we were just shown that here is the National House. Let me just show that to you. A lot of important meetings with the leaders of the other countries are also held over there. There was a very important meeting which was also done between the North Korea and US here. So yeah, I think a lot of world leaders, when there is some really important discussion to be done, that's where it happens, very close to the Ho Chi Minh Mausoleum.
So while you're exploring the mausoleum, just a short walk away from there is the unique One Pillar Pagoda. This iconic structure is exactly what its name suggests. It's a pagoda built on a single pillar, rising out of a small lotus pond. Legend has it that the pagoda was built in the 11th century as a tribute to a vision Emperor Li Tai Tong had of the Bodhisattva. It's small, but its design and history makes it one of the most interesting landmarks in the city. The pagoda symbolizes purity and serenity, making it a peaceful stop on our journey through Hanoi.
Well, we finally come to our last spot for this tour today, which was a half-day tour. It was a 4-hour tour, and details for the cost I'll add it in the description. It was 32 USD for us, but there are obviously options if you include or remove some of the things that are there included in the itinerary. So I'll add more details in the description for it. But now we're finally here in the last spot, which is called the Train Street, and it's super popular on Instagram. I'm sure you must have seen some images or reels about it. It's basically this long street where there are a lot of shops, all on the train tracks, and when the train passes by, there is obviously a lot of photos and videos that are created. But yeah, it's basically a street, and the train tracks are right in the center of it, and the train passes through it while the shops are still open on both sides. Let's go check out the place.
Alright then, to wrap up today's city tour, we're heading to one of Hanoi's most unique attractions, the Train Street. This narrow street is famous for its train tracks running just a few feet away from the homes and cafes lining the road. Twice a day, the train comes through, and you can watch as life pauses for a moment while the train zooms by, almost touching the building. It's an exhilarating experience that you can't miss when visiting Hanoi. Just remember to stay safe as the train comes through very quickly. We reached pretty late in the evening, so the timings for the train was already past, but you can obviously check online for the train timings before you plan your visit to the Train Street. Well, that's it for our Hanoi city tour, from the spiritual tranquility of the temples to the rich history of the monuments and the lively buzz of the Train Street. Hanoi has shown us a perfect blend of tradition and modernity. I hope you've enjoyed exploring this incredible city with me. Please don't forget to like, comment and subscribe for more Vietnam adventures. Next up, we'll be heading to the stunning Ha Long Bay. See you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.